But let's get to the call. Let's bring them in. People want to share their experience. This is what it's all about. Area code 585. You're live on Third Phase Moon. How you doing today?
Is that me?
That's you. You're live. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much. I'm calling because I have never had a close encounter, but I have witnessed many unexplained lights in the skies with witnesses as well as by myself. And I happen to be watching another video. It's a documentary called Australian with Alien Skies, and it's at 17 minutes and 39 seconds. There's a beautiful illustration of what I've been seeing. And I'm calling from Rochester, New York. And a friend of mine and I have witnessed on probably a half dozen occasions the same phenomena. And we are like less than 3 miles from the south shore of Lake Ontario. And, of course, the Great Lakes have a lot of witnesses and sightings. But my sightings in particular have simply consisted of a very bright star, which lasts for a second and then goes off. And then 5 or 10 seconds later, it will come on again for a second and then go off. And it's moving steadily in a west to east. And I'm wondering, transcontinental flights do not need to show their or exhibit their commercial lights, their navigation lights, because there were no navigation lights. I'm sorry?
The FAA lights you're seeing in certain countries, they're not required doing international travel to have those on?
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, for instance, a flight that's going maybe from Los Angeles to Scotland. It's, with nonstop. Now, are they required to keep their navigation lights on the entire trip? Because this was moving very slowly, and there were no navigation lights. And what's funny is I witnessed it, like I say, 5 or 6 times in Rochester here, 2 or 3 times in Utica, and it wasn't quite dark. And a friend of mine and I witnessed it, and I got some pretty good footage and showed it to MUFON, and they investigated it and came up with unexplained. I also spent some time in New Mexico this summer and have witnessed the same phenomenon down there.
Sure.
And again,
let me ask you this, though. Did you send the video to Third Phase Moon? Did we get to see it? Do you got a YouTube channel where people can see this video of yours?
I sent the no, I do not have it. I sent it to MUFON, and the camera that I had died on me, and I didn't save it. MUFON must have a copy of it, but I do not personally have a copy of that. But, I mean,
so you gave it to MUFON, and then they basically confiscated the video, and now there is no video?
Oh, well, I don't know if they confiscated it or not, but I gave them permission to save it, and I lost my copy of it. So I haven't followed up on it to see if, in fact, they have a copy that I can get a hold of. I could do that probably.
And you can't track down
easily.
a case number of this video or anything like this? That's very, concerning, because that's what we kind of are concerned about. People out there, they're shooting videos, they submit it to MUFON, and then they never hear back, or they really can never go back and find their video, which is very bizarre, because when we share our videos on Third Phase Moon, we're giving the credit link back to the person that shot it, or we put the name. So when you do a search, you could actually go back and find your own video. So this is very concerning, again, where people are submitting their UFO evidence. Well, appreciate the call. We got a lot of callers coming in, but, keep your eyes on the skies, and next time you capture something, you know who to send it to, right?
Right, yeah, well, you know what, I tried to film the nighttime, but I do not have a real good night application on the camera on my cell phone. But I strongly urge you to take a look at that Australian Skies documentary. It's about an hour and a half long, and it's 17 minutes and 39 seconds.
We've heard of it. It's been around for a couple of years. There's a lot of UFO sightings out there. Appreciate the caller. Now, it's interesting because we're just about at the end of the year, and things are actually lighting up. We have a lot of UFO videos that we're about to be putting up on Third Phase over the next few days. But, I got a feeling there's something going to happen here in the next month or so that maybe this like the title says in our documentary, Countdown to Disclosure, the secret technology behind the Space Force. We're excited that this is coming out to the public February 16th. There's going to be a lot of information in there that you haven't heard, and it's pretty groundbreaking and heavy stuff in there. All right, let's get to the next caller. Let's bring him in. Let's go to area code 646. You're live, Third Phase Moon. How you doing today?
Hi, Third Phase. How are you?
Welcome to the show. What's your name? Where are you calling in from?
New York City.
What's on your mind? Merry Christmas. You see anything in the skies over there in New York? First-time caller?
Yeah, Merry Christmas. I had called once. I just wanted to clarify certain things about, there was a craft that was descending at a certain juncture in New York City, and this thing was hovering. It was technology. It was hovering above the pavement about, 8-9 feet above the pavement. So I wanted to just say that was incredible, because I haven't heard too many callers call about New York City, and this thing was hovering at 2 days in a row, the same juncture. There was someone that lives at that juncture in a building, and I happened to bump into them, and I asked them, "Did you see anything?" Because I explained what I experienced, and the person said, "Yes, I did see something, and so did my daughter." She says. So, that's the only person that I know that could view this, because that's New York City, which is a dense population of pedestrians, and this thing rode down the streets, and it went towards the skyscrapers. I could see, like I said, the skyscraper line, and it hit the Chrysler building, and it ascended at incredible speeds, and it left behind a trail of energy or whatever it was, because it was getting darker. So the question is that not everybody sees these things. They're only present, I assume, to certain people. I happen to view this thing 2 days in a row at the same juncture. I have witnessed other things. I was walking with another friend one time in Chinatown, and we saw, it was like a cluster of black balloons. That's the closest I could describe this thing. And as we got
what makes
closer,
you think that they weren't black balloons? What if they look like balloons? What makes you think that they're not balloons?
Well, because it was stationary in the sky. Usually if they're balloons, the air is moving them about.
Was it windy, or was it a calm day?
It was a fairly calm day, but this thing was hovering.
Balloons stay stationary during calm days. But let's back that up.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you a quick question. So you say that you have this experience, you witnessed this craft do extraordinary maneuvers in New York City, the most dense population pretty much in the United States, and there's no videotape or any other people that witnessed this thing on a mass scale?
I have no clue. I mean, I went and I looked at the internet to see if there was any postings on YouTube or any other platform of, UFOs in New York City, and I saw none. As a matter of fact, with the building where I was at the time, when I got there, I went to the rooftop, and I looked all around the roof, the skies, to see if I could see any possibility of spotting this thing, but there wasn't. Now, the thing with the balloons, I was going to tell you that my friend had pointed out. He said, "Look at the orbs." So it was being followed by these golden orbs, they look like, and they were set in position of a triangle. So the balloon is up ahead, and these two orbs are at the base. They sort of formulate the base of the triangle.
Absolutely, absolutely. Three orbs of light, three lights create a triangle. When you got 3 points, it makes a triangular craft no matter what. But there's sometimes confusion between some of these UFOs that are, triangular-shaped TR-3Bs, reverse engineered, or basically, three, balloons that create this effect. But there's a big difference, in my opinion. And like I said, if you're in New York City and you have all this stuff going on over at Chinatown, you would think that there would be a massive amount of UFO videos out there. We got a lot of callers calling in, so let's just get to the next one. We're going to go to area code. Let's go to area code 619. 619, you're live, Third Phase Moon. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great, thank you. How are you? Merry Christmas, by the way.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from San Diego. I actually don't live that far from the Miramar base. It's a very famous base. I believe they record Top Gun actors. So we get a lot of activity during the day. But one night I was outside with my friend, and we were just seeing all these black helicopters passing by. We're like, what are they doing? It was pretty late. It was like around 10 p.m. Now, once they pass by, usually they kind of do like a circle loop and they come back. But this particular day, they didn't even do that. There was about 5 of them, and they were just passing by so quickly. And we're like, whoa, what's going on? And then suddenly when I turned to talk to my friend, I just saw this big, giant, bright, golden, like a light, like an orb, kind of just flew across the sky. And I freaked out. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was like, did you see that? Did you see that? And I'm like trying to get my friend attention. And he turns. He's like, no, I don't see nothing. I was like, man, that thing was so bright. It literally lit up the street and it disappeared. By the time I was trying to get my phone, I was like, nah, like it was there, man. It was there. And again, 10 minutes later, the same 5 black helicopters just keep swinging by for like a good 30 minutes. And I don't know what it was that I saw. I don't know if it's aliens or it was just me who saw it or my imagination. But it was really, really bright. And I was like the only one who seemed to see it. And I was like freaking out. I was like, bro, like seriously, it was freaking bright. And I don't know why that kept happening, those helicopters. But the next day or two, again, those same helicopters, they're just flying around here. I don't know what's going on, but ever since that week, I've never seen them again. They're usually these big helicopters. They kind of look like drones that usually fly around here. But it was just an interesting evening, and it was so amazing. I just hope I can get to see it much closer, much better. Oh man, it was so cool. I don't have much experience with aliens, but it was awesome.
Yeah, well, it's interesting too because, in my opinion, there are experimental aircraft within these military bases scattered all across America. And San Diego is one of those areas where, off the coast, there's so many sightings of UFOs. It's, there's something going on. And then Baja, Mexico, close by to there, you're getting all these UFO sightings. So what do you think when you experience this? Do you think it was experimental military? Or do you think maybe it was a natural phenomenon or otherworldly? What do you feel?
I believe it's both. I believe our government then had extraterrestrial spacecraft and they're re-engineering it. I think we're getting a little bit of both because I had a friend the other day who's like, yeah, I've seen the black triangle ones, and it was just hanging around, just floating. And I was like, yeah, that's probably the government. I believe if it's really aliens, that they're just minding their own business. They're just trying to see what we're doing. Because in my experience from speaking to other people who've seen aliens or been on a spacecraft, they say, like, we're not ready to be with them. We're not ready. We're not on their level because our frequency, first of all, is so low and they're so high that by the time we meet them, we're going to freak out because we don't know how to handle their frequency and handle their reality because they understand more than we do. And I think that's where we're at. We're trying to fight this through. The problem is that we got to figure out what we need. First of all, it's like, what is it that we really need? Do we need the technology? Like, do we need, what is it that we actually need before we go from?
Let me ask you, do you really think, you don't think we're ready for disclosure? You don't think humans on a grand scale would be able to handle it. It'd be chaos.
No, I think we're ready. We've been ready. I think we should have been told the truth since the beginning. If they knew this since the 70s, I heard even past the 70s, that the galactic force, the space force, the aliens themselves been trying to get in contact with us. The problem is, I'm sorry, but us humans, we're too selfish and we're too egotistic to be outside ourselves. We're even fighting with our own people. We can't fight with each other because they're on a so different level that we're just going to end up fighting with them. And what's the whole purpose? That's not the purpose of life. I don't think it's to argue and to fight. It's to be one with each other. And right now, our earth is not one with nobody. You got to be one with yourself in order to understand, love, have compassion for these amazing creatures, because I believe on some kind of level, they're kind of the future us. I believe I'm a huge in reincarnation. I believe they are our higher selves, and in order to be ready, we have to be understanding that they're not here to attack us, because if they want to attack us, we would have been dead by now. We would have been.
Have you heard of the theory? There is this theory out there that these beings that have traveled all this way to get here to Earth from another galaxy, moving even faster than, as we could even possibly imagine. And they made it here, and there's theories that these beings are emotionless. They don't have an emotion. They're void of compassion because that kind of stuff gets in the way, apparently.
That's interesting. Yeah, I so could see that, where they kind of lose that the humanness inside of them, because I believe what we feel and what we're going through, it's because we're on this third dimension, and it's the dimension of emotions. You know what I'm saying? So we get a little bit of everything. I believe most of these aliens, these spiritual beings, are higher dimension. You know what I'm saying? That's why, a lot of it, that's really why I think I was able to see this, whatever flying orb thing was, and my friend wasn't, because I have an understanding that he doesn't. For some reason, I always been connected to the spiritual world, so I always would say stuff or hear things or see things. I believe that it's personal. It has to be personal to you and how you react to your reality. But yeah, I believe some creatures are very emotional. I believe not all aliens are good and not all aliens are bad. You can be in the middle.
Absolutely. I think that some people miss the point on that. Are they a threat? Are they not a threat? Well, in my opinion, they're not, but, especially if they came all this way. But you never know. They probably had factions of war in other galaxies. That's why they call these movies Star Wars. I think it's basically based on fact in its own way. Hey, I appreciate you calling in, sharing your experience, and, chiming in on some questions we had. Be safe out there. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Merry Christmas. Take care, you guys.
Let's just do it. Area code 412. You're live on Third Phase of Moon. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Doing good. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
So you got a UFO story you want to share? Let's hear it.
Yeah, I've had experiences my whole life. My case was actually put in the free book on Beyond UFOs for medical healings, and but I've had experiences my whole life. I'm glad you're doing a information from the public to get to hear the different story, other than the abduction. I've had experiences my whole life, mostly with what look like, I don't like to call them these things because it sounds prejudicial, but more like the mantid type being seemed to be the main type, but I've had experiences with other types later on. I had medical healings. I was taught how to heal myself by these beings. I had some very strong experiences around 1991, seeing physical ships popping up right in front of me, and then along with friends. One point I wanted to get into about these things, these being not negative experiences.
Sure.
As I want to explain one experience which could seem negative if not understood. But I had these can come in many different ways. Downloads, 3D visions, prophecies, different things like that. And I had an experience at one point where I was dreaming, and I was in a marriage for 21 years. I was in my yard playing with my daughter, and in this dream, this UFO shows up and had 4 heads, like mechanical heads on it, and they were looking around and shooting beams down. And I ran to get my daughter, and I got hit in the back. And then I went through some type of different dimensional experience, which I won't go into because it's kind of hit down depth, but and which became later revelations. But what I understood that this experience, having your daughter, losing your daughter through that experience, which seemed very real. I later. Not much long later, my wife, I found out, was leaving me, and she was going to take my daughter. And here, this was a type of prophecy to let me know what I would be dealing with. And I've had later prophecies like this, personal prophecies, to show me what's going on in my life. So these stories, a lot of these stories can be told. If this was told in a different way, this would sound like a very negative story, if somebody wanted to project it that way. I also have had healings with these beings, being taught how to heal myself. I was shown these flame letters on a ship one time. The mantis was holding me by my right elbow, showing me around. And there were these letters on the board, like where you would sit, and right there would be like what would look like a control board. But they were little cutouts, and they had these strange shapes, and they were lit up. And shown me some other things. I was shown a little hybrid, and I was speaking to a asset clinician at the time, and I guess the reason he put me in front of her was she looked up at me and telepathed to me, and she said, "Shh, we told you a secret. Like, why are you telling this guy? You shouldn't be talking to people like this." But anyway, later on, I was look into this stuff, and I find out flame letters. I started looking back into older things, and I find out that the Aramaic and Proto-Semitic glyphs before that, which turned into Hebrew, were called flame letters. And supposedly these letters came off the mind of God, which are ancient forms and frequencies and all. And when you work with these letters in a certain way with permutation, with a different type of correspondences and all this, these activate the phosphine flare patterns of the brain, which actually activate your atavic self or your ancient self, where you're tapping into more of your, I guess you can call Adam Cadman, or your original Adam, if you want to call it that, or your higher self, so to be. And as I was working with these, then you end up having more experiences. And I was taught how to bring divine light in, surrounding myself with light, and bring it down through my feet, activating chakras along the way, bringing it up around the body and back in, which later I find out is called, what is it, the rhombus donut? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know that there's a lot of people lining up, so let's get to the point. What do you make of all this? It sounds like there's a connection with this language and these beings.
Well, yeah, and then later with the healings. I had healings with appendix. We were supposed to be ready to burst, and I healed. And I later had a brain tumor, which they said I wouldn't survive. They had a huge tumor with ganglia that wrapped around the pituitary and other things. And, you know, I did my exercises the being taught me, and the doctors they severed my pituitary, thyroid, hypothalamus, and 95% of my optic nerves. And I've had healing since then. They can't explain how my organs are working, and everything's reading normal, and I have a consciousness when I should be brain damaged. And all this came from my experiences with these beings, which are not negative.
I know that Travis Walton, when he was taken, he spoke about, the movie Twisted It All. After we spoke with Travis Walton, he spoke that, like the movie, the Hollywood, they twisted it, but now that he looks back at it, his abduction experience actually was a benefit. He had some health issues, and he came back with some, remedies for some of his severe health issues. I got Brent Cousins here, and I want to get his opinion in regards to this as well. Brent, what do you make of these visitations? Do you think there is a connection between healing and an alien abduction? Go ahead, Brent.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think there's a connection. Obviously, we have many witnesses that come forward that say there were actually some healing processes that were done after an alien abduction. I'm still wondering, is there any evidence from the medical field that there's papers that actually reveal this kind of miraculous recovery and leave doctors dumbfounded on what actually happened with their condition, their improvement? What's your thoughts, Blake?
Well, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to ask the caller. So you say your doctor witnessed something like a miraculous healing. What did your doctor attribute this to? Did he consider this like a miracle?
Yes, my case is listed as miraculous, unexplainable. Preston Dennett interviewed me for the book, and I gave him the numbers of my endocrinologist and my PCP, and he spoke to them, and it's in the book. And they told him they can't explain how my organs are working or how I'm even alive. My endocrinologist tells me, Jimmy, all your readings are reading normal. She says, I can't explain how you've been speaking. You're speaking to me with the consciousness that you have, let alone how your organs are working. She tells me, you live by will, which I know it's not will. I know why I'm alive. And so, yes, there is a record of this. And the doctors can't explain, how I'm functioning at all. And my IQ leapt from 130. My IQ leapt from 134 before the operation to 152 afterwards, going through all that trauma and healing and all that.
This is incredible because now we have medical doctors coming forward saying this is a miraculous recovery after an experience, and there's no explanation for how this could be possible. We've heard of this before, like Travis Walton talked about it. We've had callers talk about their incredible healing after they had this experience. They had health issues, but it's gone after an experience. This is something extraordinary. Jimmy, I think that's your name, Jimmy. We're going to take down your information. Just hold on a little bit. Brent's going to take down the number, and we want to follow up on this because if you have documented evidence in regards to this healing, that's miraculous recovery, there's something there, and maybe we could do a mini documentary on you, Jimmy. What do you got to say about that?
I'm open to anything to make a higher understanding of what's going on with this.
Right, Jimmy.
Cooperative effort, which is not abduction. I think the word abduction needs to be eliminated.
I would call
other
it
than with
invitation.
My lab cases.
I would call it an invitation.
Yes, it is, because you do have the right to not
Jimmy,
participate.
we got your phone number. We're going to get back in touch with you. Let's do this follow-up. What a great first caller. I appreciate it. Jimmy, expect a call from us here real soon. Appreciate the call in. This is exciting, and I'm glad Jimmy got to share this with us. And again, people are coming forward. The major media doesn't want to talk about it. They only want to take military reports. They don't want to take civilian reports. That's what Third Phase of Moon's here. We're going to fill in the gap, right? We're going to talk to the public. We're going to let the public speak through our platform, the world's largest UFO channel on the planet. Now, talking about on the planet, we are expanding Third Phase of Moon to different realms across the world, spanning the globe. And Jaime Maussan from Mexico has invited Third Phase of Moon to participate with a UFO report. So here's a little clip that we've shared with Jaime.
Hola, Jaime. Blake Cousins, Third Phase of Moon.
Quiero agradecer a Jaime Maussan por invitarnos. Permítame compartir con ustedes el último video de un vez de...
It's going to be on his TV show. Me and Brett had to brush up on our Spanish. Here it is. And as we're looking at it and listening to it, Brett, what do you make of this new collaboration between Jaime Maussan over there in Mexico?
Yeah, it's been an interesting week right here. We've been on pretty much a daily phone call basis with Jaime, talking to him pretty much every morning. We're organizing this new collaboration between South America and North America. We're going to combine forces, and it's going to be a strong team. Jaime's got a plethora of information, UFO evidence that he's going to be sharing with us directly, and for the same, we're going to be doing that right here at Third Phase Moon. We receive some of the best UFOs every week right here, so it's going to be a great collaboration. It's kind of interesting. I think we're going to be on his show once a week, so it's going to be pretty amazing, and yeah, it's going to be fun brushing up on our Spanish over here on this side at Third Phase, Blake.
So when you talk about collaboration, it's collaborating with the people around the world, the public, and that's what it's important. And that's what we're doing here. We also got a follow-up in regards to new platforms, how Third Phase of Moon is going to spread even more across the globe. We got an exclusive trailer that we're about to show you in just a moment. Buckle up for that. But you know what? Let's get some more callers. Let's bring them in. People want to share their experience. And that Jimmy call, it's great. We might have a new documentary coming up. Let's get to area code 760. You're live, Third Phase Moon. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Where are you calling in from, sir?
I'm calling in from San Diego, California.
All right. Well, welcome to the show. What's going on in the skies over there? Go ahead.
It's something aligned with it. I shouldn't even be talking. I know somebody that is very, very powerful and in the world. Even more so powerful than the United States of America. There's only, I would say, less than 2 handfuls of these people. And I can't say a name because I could get in real big trouble. I could show you pictures of him and pictures of me and him. I've known him all my life. And he knows things that the media doesn't tell you about the world. The military, other countries, what they're doing. And he's a very knowledgeable, very, very rich. Time I asked him, I became a so-called UFO guru because I started talking to him about the Palladians and Arcturians and reptilians and Zeta Reticuli and the Phil Schneider story and all of that. And all of a sudden, the energy just shifted in the way he was looking at me. The seriousness that I've never seen come from this person. We've met maybe about 5 times in 10 years, that kind of thing. And he gave me a look I'll never forget. And he said, "There is a lot you don't know." And the conversation stopped. And that was it. That's what I want to say.
So let me ask you this. So you have a connection that's, really connected, could actually change the world. Do you think that this friend of yours is going to change the world anytime soon?
Yeah, he's a family member. And I'm sorry, that question once again?
So your family member, is he a politician? Is he work for the government, a private corporation?
He's way, way, way up there in the government. At the highest levels that you can.
On the highest level, I got you. So what does this highest level person think? Are we alone in the universe? Is there going to be disclosure any time soon?
I think what we see on TV and what we think we believe is not really what it is. And I think, and I've heard this other times in the when people ask in the military, especially ask different levels, people at high levels, they're shut down, going on that we just really don't know about. And there's a seriousness to this whole topic. And I just think what we know is not really what we think we know.
What do you think it is that what you don't think we know?
I think they could be a threat. This whole UFO situation with extraterrestrials. That's what I think, and I don't have proof, but that's what my gut feeling is.
530, you there? All right, let's go to area code 786. 786, you're live, Third Phase of Moon. Welcome to the show.
Hello?
Where are you calling in from?
Hello, can you hear me?
We got you loud and clear.
Oh, great. How you doing, Blake? Great. Okay.
Doing great.
So I'm calling from Miami, Florida. And I had a really weird, it's the only UFO sighting I ever had. This happened to me back in 1991. And it happened to me the day before Thanksgiving, and it was around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So the sky was kind of orange, it was at that time of dusk, getting dark, but there was still sunlight. And my father, he takes care of plants, he does gardening, and we have a glass door in the back, and I was on the other side of the glass door, and he was inside, and he looked up like he was in shock. And I looked at him and I told him, "What's wrong?" I thought something was happening to him. And I asked him, "Dad, are you okay?" And he goes, "Yes, look." And I turned around and I looked towards the sky, okay, where he was looking, and I saw it looked like an orange eye, like in the form of an eye, like an oval, but it had sharp edges, okay? And it was moving slowly from west to east, and it was probably about maybe I estimate it was probably about maybe 600 feet in the sky. It wasn't that high. And the weird thing about it is that as it moved across the sky and it crossed in front of my line of sight, the orange started dimming. And it looked like I was looking through a tunnel. Just in that moment, it passed right in front of my eyesight, right in the direct line of my eyesight. It looked like I was looking through a tunnel. And I found that super, super weird. And as it continued moving, the tunnel effect changed again to the orange eye. It kept going across the sky again. It continued on its way more west. And it got behind a cloud. And the clouds were going in the opposite direction. And when it got behind the cloud, the color changed from orange to gray and then to white, and then it evaporated. It disappeared. And that's all I wanted to say. It was really strange. I could never understand,
Let me ask you this, sir, and I appreciate you calling in and sharing your experience. There is, I don't know, Lord of the Rings comes to mind, and the Eye of Saruman, that eye that was over, was it Mount Doom? I'm not exactly sure. But Lord of the Rings. Did you ever watch Lord of the Rings? And does it kind of resemble the Eye of Saruman?
Well, the thing is that it was all one solid color, and it was just like it was like if it was an orb, like they say that it's like an oval orb, but it was like a bright orange, and like I said, it was daytime, okay, so it was different. The orange was different from the orange of the sky, and you could see it, and we were both looking at it. So what caught my attention more than obviously the color caught my attention, but what caught my attention more was that when it passed in right directly in my line of sight, okay, right directly in front of me, because it moved from left to right, and when it crossed right directly in front of me, it looked all of a sudden like, the color disappeared and turned it like into I would say like transparent, and you could see through it like as if it was a tunnel that you were looking through it. And I actually tried to see if I could see something that was, behind it or further deep into it, because it looked like it was continuing through the sky, almost as if there was a hole cut into the sky. Okay? And that's what really grabbed my attention. That's what really shocked me.
Sure. Yeah, that would pretty much get anybody's attention. This is amazing. We just opened up the lines. We're getting calls from across America, across the world. It's amazing, all the collaboration. And a little quick other update that we tweeted the president the other day. We told him we're almost up to 1 million subscribers. We have over 250 million views. We want to have him on the show. We want to talk about Space Force and the implications behind that. And a lot of people are thumbsing that up on Twitter. So let's hope we get a call from you-know-who, and we'll see. This could be the biggest interview ever. He should reach out to us. Like I said, it is Third Phase Moon. It's a public forum for the UFO world, and it's our pleasure to do that. What would you say if the president gave us a call, and what would we ask him?
Oh, well, that's a big question. I know we've been reaching out to Tucker at Fox, and we asked you guys at Third Phase of Moon to go give a message to Tucker Carlson. We want to talk to him, and we'll see what happens. I'm thinking that the words that we gave President Trump on the tweet, it kind of speaks his language. We're talking numbers, we're talking success, and we want to get the president on third phase. We just want to ask him about the Space Force and what's up with that, and maybe a little leak into disclosure. What we said, maybe before he leaves the White House, he should go to Area 51 in Air Force One and show us the assets. That's what we want, Blake.
Yeah, we want to join that whole amazing adventure. If we could get to Area 51, land in Air Force One, and blow it wide open and give the energy to the people, the super technology. We're ready. We're prepared. We could handle it. I think you could handle it too. If you missed your shot at trying to call into Third Phase, don't worry. We'll be doing this very soon. I appreciate everybody who's lining up, but we got to get this episode up right away. Plus, we got a lot of new UFO videos just into Third Phase Moon. So we appreciate everybody in the chat tonight, all the super chats, the support. It's incredible. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Brent. We'll see everybody real soon.